Hey everybody, Kyle Goeth here from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel, and I've got my quick reaction, my first thoughts to the new film, The Holdovers. This is directed by Alexander Payne and stars Paul Giamatti and Divine Joy Randolph, I believe. And it is centered in the 1970s, the early 70s, at a kind of prestigious boys' high school, private school, if you will. And Paul Giamatti is the professor that has been assigned with taking care of the holdovers, which are the students who are unable to make it home for Christmas and the holiday season. And he ends up, eventually he ends up being him, basically, the manager of the cafeteria, played by Randolph, and one student, basically like the big problem student, the one that he can't get along with, he can't reach. He's shown to have that friction with him from moment one. And it's about understanding that as a teacher and as a professor, Giamatti's character is probably the most hated guy on campus. And as a student, this student that he has to spend the Christmas season with is one of the most hated students. Neither one of them is liked within their specific circles because of how they behave and who they are. And so they find that they actually share a kinship over their unlikability. And I thought that was pretty fun. It's a Christmas movie, so it definitely has the possibility of getting into that Christmas rotation. I really enjoyed this movie. I have been excited about this because Alexander Payne, some of his movies I really like, some I don't care as much for, but my favorite Alexander Payne film is Nebraska. It's got that kind of feeling of Nebraska in The Holdovers, except it's more Christmas themed and kind of a time period. But it also feels in some ways like it's timeless because it does feature, we've had schools, we've had teachers, we've had students for so long in American history that it is of a time and of a place, and yet it's also timeless and feels like it can imagine. I was not in school in the 70s, I was not alive in the 70s, and yet I connected to the characters in this film because that is the true genius of what Alexander Payne is able to do, is he really mines a lot of greatness out of the mundanity of life. Yeah, I like the performances in there. Paul Giamatti gives one of the best performances of the year, as he frequently does, but really great in this film because I buy that he's an asshole. And the thing is, I like Paul Giamatti, so if I'm convinced that he's an asshole, that's doing something right. I also really like Divine Joy Randolph. I've seen her in something else, and I can't put my finger on it. And I forgot to look it up before doing this video, but I really liked her in this film as well. I liked her more in this than I had in previous things. I think the material's written better for her in this than I've seen her do before. But I really like how she plays off of Giamatti's character. She's a very different characterization. She is a warm person hidden under a layer of sadness because of what she's experienced in her own life in previous years. So she's even searching. She's searching for life. She's searching for joy, and yet she's surrounded by kind of terrible people as she looks for it. So the dynamic between the characters is fantastic. I'd mentioned this in my reaction to like Next Goal Wins. Next Goal Wins was a film where, as much as I enjoyed the movie, I could tell where that twist reveal was coming from, where that narrative reveal was going to happen. I knew exactly what was going to be the reveal of that film. They were hiding something from us throughout the narrative, but when they revealed it, I was like, yeah, I kind of knew that. In The Holdovers, there's some twists and turns with the various characters, their backgrounds, their motivations, what they're doing. Some of them just hit me like a gut punch. And I was so surprised by the narrative swing that it took and how it recontextualized the relationships and the characters and the story that they're in. That was what I was so surprised about, was that I almost didn't even realize I was as invested as I was, because it is kind of like almost like a series of vignettes that these characters, the moments that they have during their couple weeks basically living on campus together are not specifically linked in, but more just as the days go by, and it's more about the character relationship story than the plot. So I almost didn't realize how connected I was to what was going on because the plot was so loose, because the plot was just kind of flowing. The plot is the time when no one's at the school. So it's not really a focused plot, nor does it need to be. It's just a character story. And yeah, there was moments near the end of the film, especially where I almost broke down, because the emotional resonance that Payne was able to find, and that he was able to hint at and then just completely tear your heart out. I was surprised as hell by that. Overall, yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I didn't think it was going to be. I mean, I thought there was definitely a possibility it could be in my conversation for, some of the best films of the year. But I honestly think it probably will be, if not on my list, very close to my top films of the year list, because I really enjoyed this film. I think it's going to be one of those movies that I will contemplate watching every Christmas when I'm looking for a kind of down or kind of upper, because it's not exactly like the most Christmassy of movies, but it also really kind of contextualizes the sadness of being alone during the holiday season, which has happened, I'm sure, to everybody at some point. I've been alone during some holidays before, and it's hard, It's something that you don't realize you need until you don't have it, and then you realize how much you missed it. And I think that's the true sadness within the mundane that Payne is able to gain from The Holdovers. I really enjoyed the movie, and I can't recommend it enough. Go check out The Holdovers. I think it's still in limited release, but it is expanding, and I hope it continues to expand. My theater is practically full, so I hope you get a chance to check out the film, and that you come back here and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. While you're down there, please like and subscribe. There are 2 free things you can do that help to support the channel immensely, and you never miss new episodes of the show as they drop. Also, you can find goatfilmreviews.com for my many written reviews. You can find Goat Film Reviews on Facebook. You can follow me at Almighty Goatman on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads. And you can find my show, Kyle and Nick on Film, that I co-host with Nick Plotchuk from the St. Paul Filmcast. We have new episodes every single week of that show. All those links to find that show and everything else I just talked about, they're down in the description. Go ahead and check those out, and we'll see you next time.